What is good, Counter-Strike fans? Welcome back to another episode of my HLTV Fantasy. Apologies for no video. I lost access to my account, but we are back. We're finally going to be talking some Counter-Strike, and we're going to be talking about Blast Open Rotterdam playoff stage for 2026. And yeah, let's just take a quick look at how we did while left you. So I believe last video I made was PGO Cluj-Napoca 2026 playoffs. Got a top 6% there, 15 season points. Then we had ESL Pro League. Stage 1 wasn't part of a fantasy event, an official fantasy event towards the season standings. So we had Stage 2, got 12 points towards that. Playoffs as well, 12 points. And then finally, for the group stage for this event, I got 67%. Funny number with only 2 points. My squad here decided to go double Navi, which they did well. They actually went on to go 3-0 in group stage. However, I got the 2 worst Navi players possible, the 2 wrong silver Navi players. So Bit and Wonderful didn't do that great. Meanwhile, Ime and Makase, you'll see that were some of the best value for money players. Rops, I thought he could keep up with Saiwu and Flamesy. And in terms of output, he did solid, but Flamesy and Saiwu really farmed this event. Woxic, who actually did pretty solid for his price. Aurora going, I believe, 2-1, because I believe they got to the finals of their group and then lost to Navi. And then Snappy was just a cheap player. Basically minimum value, so I could afford the rest of the team. And unfortunately, we didn't pick right. I mean, you'll see right here as well. Saiwu, Flamesy were best value for money. Robs was also up there as well for vitality. You have Donk, Casarado, and Tessis as well. And Makase and Ime were the best too. So if I had like a team, for example, with Makase and Ime instead of Bit and Wonderful, then we would have done a lot better on this event for sure. How we're doing, so ever since we left you, we have had like more people join the league, so make sure to join the league. The link is down in the description below. The winner will receive a Steam gift card. A Steam gift card for the event. We currently have 20 people, and right now M1 and 2 is winning with 127 points. The majority of these people actually joined from the CS2 Discord, Fantasy Discord. So there's a Fantasy Discord that has a lot of people in it, and they do give away like prizes as well for events. So if you are interested in joining, I will also leave the description down below to both the Discord and this Fantasy League. And yeah, it's a big group amount of people on a Discord channel, and they talk anything about professional Counter-Strike, HLTV Fantasy, and there's always like conversations going on during matches as well. People watch their players compete in their team, and then like give funny takes on what's going on. But yeah, there's a lot of analysis going on there, and so if you are interested, make sure to join. I'll leave the description down there as well. But number 1 right here is Elliot Anderson as well. And how we're doing for the spring season standings, we had 376 overall. I think we were up to top 150 before this event, before the group stage of Blast Rotterdam. So kind of unfortunate there, but we're still within striking distance. We are only less than 30 points actually away from one of the top 10. So we are within range, and we just gotta make sure that we make good decisions from now on. I mean, the Bit and Wonderful decision was good. Backing Navi was good for that, but I think we got unlucky with the result. So how's the bracket look? So this is the bracket for the playoffs. The upper side of the bracket is Aurora Mongols, and then and the winner of that will face Vitality in the semifinals. And then on the lower side, Paravision and Falcons. The winner of that will face Navi. So let's just do our pick'ems. Honestly, both matchups are very close. For the quarterfinals, we'll start off with Aurora and Mongols. From what I've seen, I think both teams are good on group stage, but then they fall apart in playoffs. That is Aurora and Mongols. I guess currently the form does lean towards Mongols. They did make it to the Group B upper final and got to face Vitality. And I believe they made it close. If we take a look, actually no, my bad. So no, they didn't make the upper finals. They made the lower finals. They made a run and beat Spirit pretty convincingly, as well as Aurora, beating Furia as well. But Furia weren't that great this event. So I don't know. It really depends on the individuals, and I guess who can come out on top. I'm gonna say Aurora. I think Aurora have a good map pick in Anubis, and I'm not sure if, for example, does Mongols not play Anubis? I want to say they do, but I can check really quickly. Do they ban Anubis? They do ban Anubis. Okay, so maybe it's Mongols, but I'm just gonna lean Aurora for now. I think Aurora have a little bit more consistent than Mongols. I think Mongols have a little bit more upside in their play. So, and I believe also Mongols coach is not there as well. So, I'm gonna go Aurora for this one. And then for the lower side, I know Paravision has beaten Falcons twice now. Paravision is the type of team to upset some of the bigger teams, and I honestly think, I don't know who's gonna come out of this lower semifinals. Like Paravision, Falcons, and Navi, they all three could beat each other to get to the grand finals. But I don't know why. But I want to lean towards Falcons having some time to prep, and being able to finally beat Paravision here. I just think that it's Falcons' time now. I think it's Falcons' time to finally make a grand final, and I think it starts by beating Paravision, a team that's so good at countering most of the tier 1 opposition. But I'm gonna go with Falcons there. So we'll see that semifinals of Vitality, Aurora, Navi, and Falcons. And you know that even though Aurora is Vitality's number 1, like, upset potential, like Aurora always beats Vitality. I just don't see it happening now. I think Vitality have gotten to a point where they're just that much better than Aurora, and I think they're just gonna do it basically what they did last season, where they're just gonna sweep every event that they're in. So I'm gonna go Vitality there to make the grand final. And then finally, Navi versus Falcons. Again, Navi has beaten Falcons recently, as recent as this event, as you can see, 2-1. But I don't know, something's telling me that this is the time for Falcons to finally make a grand final. If they don't, then they really gotta be starting to think about making changes after the major, because there's teams like Mouse, for example, who went out in this event, that might have some players there. Fury is starting to look poor as well, so there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be making a lot of roster moves coming up soon. But I'm going to go with Falcons beating Navi here, even though Navi has been in great form so far this year, which will set up a grand final of finally Vitality versus Falcons. We've been waiting for this matchup to occur, and guess what? Vitality is going to win this easily. There we go. That is my bracket for that. So let's talk about the players individually. Or the most picked players actually. So we currently have Apex with over 7,000 picked rate, which is more than 60%, I would say. There. Also from Vitality, we have Flamesy, Saiwu, and Rob. So very heavy on Vitality investment. Otherwise, we see players like Alexi Bia and Makase from Navi, Major from Amora, and Techno from Mongol. So yeah. So either you're going Apex and one of the Vitality Golds, and then pairing them up with another IGO from one of the other teams, or Makase. So very heavy on Vitality, and that makes sense because of the way they've been playing so far. So let's talk about the players individually, and I start with Vitality. So this is how Vitality did for the group stage. You can see Saiwu and Flamesy overperformance there. Robs did solid, but might have not been worth the price there. Messi's doing solid as well, again, but might not be worth the high price. And Apex did pretty good with the over 1 rating as well now. But yeah, they just basically took over this event. Yeah, they just basically blew out teams at this point. And the pricing's still pretty reasonable here, with Vitality being the heavy favorites for this event. Best value for money player has to be Saiwu. Even if he's 240, he is still doing masterclass performances. I think again it's gonna be the HLTV player of the year again. He's basically cementing his status as the GOAT. I think he wins another major this year. I just don't think how you can say that maybe other players are the GOAT. Maybe some other players might be more skillful or more entertaining than Saiwu, but Saiwu is just in general, with everything he's accomplished and all the titles that he's won, he has to be the definition of the greatest of all time. But 240, he's definitely great value. Flamesy at 223 as well. He's been in the form of his life. He might be the second best entry behind Donk. Yeah, if Donk wasn't there, then basically Flamesy would be the best entry in the world. But unfortunately for him, Donk assists. So, but at 223 is amazing value, even close to Saiwu as well. Robs at 217, I don't mind, but I definitely think if you can spend a little bit more to go for Flamesy. Apex kind of is a must-have for this event at 193. Unless you want to go anti-Vitality, then I wouldn't pick by Apex, but you kind of have to pick him here. And then Messi at 209. Not that great for what his output has been. I mean, 1.06 is not too good, so I don't expect much from him either for the playoffs or his recent performances in general. For Falcons, here are the ratings. So do remember the Nucleons did stand in for a couple games for Kyosuke, and then Kyosuke, extended for one game for Kyosuke, and then Kyosuke came back for the rest. But you can see Monesi 1.18, Tess is 1.14, Kyosuke with a 1.07. So Monesi underperformed, Kyosuke underperformed, Nico underperformed, and Tess has had an overperformance compared to his price. And then Kixen, his usual under 1 rating as well. And for the pricing, I think Nico's a little bit expensive, and Tessis as well. Well, Tessis did have a great performance in this event. In general, he's been very poor. So I think with Nico as well, 210 is not bad, but when you have put it into context with Kyosuke only being 5k more, or Monesi only being 15k more, I'd rather go with those two over Nico. But if you want to pick into Falcons and Nico is all you can afford, then he's not a bad option either. And he does show up a little bit more often in playoffs than someone like Kyosuke. My favorite value is definitely Monesi at 225. He's affordable enough, and he has the upside to pop off, and he does do best during playoffs as well compared to the rest of the team. So if Falcons does make a run like I believe they should, then Monesi should be a good value there. And I think Kickstand at 184, he's just a cheap player enabler, and he sometimes has good games as well, so I don't mind him either. Kyosuke, there has been talks about him being a group stage farmer. It could be true, it could not be, or it could not. but at 215, I don't mind taking the upside swing there versus someone like Nico. For Paravision, here were the ratings. Sway did really well. Belchanak overperformed. Nota, James, and Cello underperformed for their price. So, looking at the pricing, I think if you want to go Paravision, you definitely have to go Sway. He's just been their best performer so far at basically every event. After that, the rest are kind of iffy. I feel like Paravision don't really put up stats. They rather win games than put up insane stats. So Sway's the only one that would be locked into if you go into Paravision. The rest you kind of have to take your pick. I think James a little bit too expensive at 205. I think I'd rather go with someone like Cello or Nota, or even go minimum for Belchanak if you want to double up here. But I think if you're looking at Paravision, definitely go with Sway first. And the rest could be a little bit more iffy. For Navi, here are the ratings. So you can see Makase and Nime did really strong in this event. Meanwhile, when I pick Wonderful and Bit, they put up under a 1 rating. So thank you for that. Thank you for that Ukrainian duo. And then Alexi B did poorly again. And the pricing, I think for Navi, I think they're probably the second most likely team to make the playoffs. So, I mean, to make the finals. So I think it's going to be Vitaly on one side and then either Falcons, Navi, or Paravision on the other. I just don't know. I feel like Navi, we're going with Navi players. It's like you're having the risk of only having one game, and if they do win that one game, whether against Paravision or Falcons, then they have to face Vitality, which then they'll get swept 3-0. So they don't have much upside, but they are a safe pick with their current form. If I had to pick someone from here, definitely go Makase. He's been by far, or by most recently, their best performing player. He's been showing a lot of promise so far. In these last 2 events, where Navi has looked a lot better so far. So Makase is the one here. And then pair him up with someone like Ime, maybe. I don't mind Ime at 204 or Wonderful. I think Bit at 206 is fine. He's not my favorite, but I think with Women Wonderful being just a tiny little bit cheaper, you can afford a better team in general. Again, wouldn't go with Alexi B either, because I think Alexi B is just poor. I think he just never performs over his rating, to be honest. For Aurora, here are the ratings. So Santaris did strong. Wakadia also did strong as well. And then Walk6, Soulfly did their usual major as well. And for the prices, taking a look at it, I believe, well, Centaurus, if you believe in Aurora, then Centaurus has to be the one to go for, alongside with Wicadia, because they're the two that will usually perform when Aurora does really strong. But I don't mind either going with Log6 or Soulfly, honestly. If you want to go super cheap with them, go with those two. Yeah, I think, honestly, in general, all 4 silvers are options here. And there's not too much to differentiate them, especially because they're very well priced for their output and their upside. If I had to pick 2, I'd probably go with Centaurus and Woxic if I really believe in Aurora. If I don't believe in Aurora, then someone like Soulfly or Kadia is a good option as well, or even going down as much as Woxic and Soulfly. In Major at 175, him being the cheapest player, he's not a bad option either. He could pop off, and he's shown some strong games recently from him as well. And then finally, Mongols, we have good performance in general for all of them. Messinho overperforming, Cobra Serra did really strong, 910 with a 1.06, kind of underperforming for as usual. Techno did strong at 105, and then Blitz 0.82. And looking at it, I mean, if you base it off of their most recent performance, then Messinho has to be the one to go for right now at 194. He's the cheapest one of the silvers, and he's performing so far the best in this event. 910 is usually the most consistent. So I also go for him if you're interested in Mongols. I would avoid Kovacic. I think he's still a little bit. We still need to see a little bit more from him, and he could be a little bit inconsistent. Blitz and Techno. I think if you had to go for Blitz because of his price, then I don't mind it. He just hasn't been that strong, honestly, to start the year. Meanwhile, Techno is finally his first event that he does actually strong in. So, um, yeah, I think if you want to go Mongols, picking someone like Techno as a one-off is good, or doubling up with like Messinho or 910 as well are options there. Um, but yeah, so let's take a look at the team that I would pick into. So this is gonna be my team for this event. I'm gonna go with Apex and Flamesy for Vitality. I think this is just probably the best combination value for money wise. I know Saiwu's a lot better, and I know Saiwu will perform to be the best for this event, but I think you can save a little bit more for Flamesy, which allows me to afford Monacy on the other side. Um, very happy about that. Taking a chance on Falcons, in my opinion. I know people will probably pick Navi, they'll pick Paravision over Falcons, but I don't know. I think Falcons has the highest upside to put up the best ratings, and if they do make it to the finals, then yeah, then I think then they'll be the best. So I'm gonna go with Monacy and then Kixan as well, and then that gives me enough money to get someone like Major as my GP. So again, for this event, gonna go min max basically, taking the cheapest bronze player and then getting 2 gold players out of it with their IGLs combined. So going to 2-2-1, and hoping that Falcons somehow beat Paravision, even though I mean the Falcons are probably our favored by the odds, but by the community they're probably not the favorites. And then hopefully they beat Navi. Hopefully Monacy puts up insane ratings, and then we can, and then once they get to Vitality, if they do have to lose 3-0 or 3-1, then I hope by that point that Monacy and Kixan got enough points there. And then Major, honestly, I'm not too worried if he doesn't beat Mongols. I'd rather him lose against Mongols but put up a good rating than have put up a bad rating against Mongols and then go into Vitality there. But yeah, this will be my team. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And again, I'll leave the links to both my Fantasy League and the HLTV or the CS2 Fantasy Discord as well for you to join in the description. So yeah, good luck, have fun, and see you for next time.